Hey, Thrand here, and I am here with a buckler, and I have sword and buckler going on today. We're going to be talking about how it was used historically and how people fought with it, but we're basically reviewing this buckler from Medeival Shoppe. Let me put this sword up. Don't want to be running around with live steel while we're talking about it. But as you can see, I opened this a while back, and when I opened this buckler, it was bright, brand new, and shiny. Now it's not so shiny anymore. It has a couple of dents in it here, and that's what I want to talk about. The way I chose to review this buckler is to take it and use it. So I took it out to fighter practices multiple times, just threw it in my armor box, let it do what it does, whether it rusts or what. I didn't even take any special time to throw any extra oil on it or anything like that, like you probably should to keep it up and clean it afterwards. And I just pretty much put it up, rode hard and wet. But if you look at this buckler, it did get a little rust on it. I was able to polish that off pretty easily with some steel wool, and it gave it a really nice rustic look, and it looks like something you'd see in a museum. So I don't see any problem with that with the buckler. It is a 14 gauge buckler. It holds up very well. If you see the back, it's painted so it won't rust on the back side, which is also a period method of doing it. They put some kind of lacquer paint on the back or blacken it to make sure it wouldn't rust. And it's got a nice handle that's very sturdy, hasn't given me any problems, hasn't broken. It's a little more rounded than I would like. I would actually like it to have a little more of a different shape on the back, but that would be easy remedied. If I want, I could just easily sand it down and use the actual handle it's got on it. Or if this handle did happen to break or something go wrong with it, you could replace this handle easily, replace the two pieces and re-rivet it and shape it any way you like. So I could see this lasting a really long time. If one of these really heavy steel rivets were to actually break, you could easily replace them. So it's a great design. A lot of people use this design modernly. You'll see them in tournaments. You see them in Battle of the Nations. I don't know if they're exactly 14 gauge. Some of those might be heavier. But where I took it to fight was fighter practice. I went out to SCA Fighter Practice, Society of Creative Anachronism, and that's the closest thing I have with the strongest blows in this area to test this shield and see how well it holds up to impacts. That's why I did that. And it took no damage. I had a great time fighting with it. It handled exceptionally well. I think this buckler would do exactly what you needed. It did what I needed. I enjoyed fighting with it. What it needed, I was able to fight with it, parry outright direct blows on it if I put it in harm's way, or just glance stuff off and protect my hand. And historically, if you look at the manuals, a lot of it is to cover the hand while one's fighting, because no one had gauntlets over here. They normally didn't wear them if they were doing a duel, let's say a civilian duel or a actual unarmored duel. So these type of bucklers, even though we see them as a later century thing, at least around 13th, 14th century, were probably used earlier period, made out of wood, just smaller versions of the Viking Age shield like Roland and I actually fight with. We've actually gone up there and done some recreation like they do at Ausfolk, and I do that as well, recreate ancient Viking warfare, early Germanic warfare, where you use large rounds. It's very feasible that some people had smaller shields to carry in everyday life in case something did occur and it wasn't during war. They would have something to fight with that was easy to carry about, protect their hand, give them somewhat of a shield, and it's better than just being barehanded. So I think that the buckler performed well, did what it was supposed to, and my good friend Marcus is the one who held the shield for me, so he's very brave. He's a Roman reenactor in the SCA, and we hit it 2 times, and the first lighter, the second harder, and it held up extremely well. I mean, these are real sword blows, and I wasn't holding back. I threw maximum force, and I was aiming at the shield, which normally the blows would be aimed at someone, and you'd be glancing them, they'd be hitting. If you're wearing armor, it might skip off and hit your armor, possibly. But after the impact, I don't think it would, if you were hitting mail or something, or exceptionally plate, you would have no damage whatsoever. So the shield's done exactly what it's supposed to do, protected my hand, especially if you had a gauntlet under it, you'd be fine on it. And it's more of a dome shape, as you can see here. Plenty of room for a gauntlet. We actually had Matthew Price put his big hand in here with a clamshell gauntlet. His hands are way bigger than mine, and it worked well for him. I used leather gauntlets when I was fighting. I had a leather gauntlet under here, so it's a lot more slimline, trim, slim, however you want to put it. So that wasn't as big a test as his gauntlet. Big clamshell gauntlet in here, yeah, they did well. Shield's done exactly what it's supposed to do, protected my hand, especially if you had a gauntlet under it, you'd be fine. Unarmored combat, I think if you were doing light sparring or whatever with some kind of glove, it would probably be great as well. I think it's an excellent addition to stuff that I fight with. I very much do like this steel buckler. It's all steel. They did have them later century. When you get into around the 1500s, you see depictions of people still using bucklers wearing plate armor. So I think that if you're interested in a buckler, and a simple buckler at that, this is a common design. There were some convex designs, and that came about. There were some extreme convex designs that were used with basket hilts even later. But this kind of dome with the lip, I think it's fine for, I'd say, armored combat or any kind of training if you want a good, affordable shield that holds up well. Medeival Shoppe's really done a good job here. Now, I hope you enjoyed the fighting, and I hope you enjoyed the video. And I'd like to thank everybody at the SCA that helped me make this video, make it come about. But I think this was the best way to test the shield, was to actually use it for a few months. That way we had more than one test with it to make sure it didn't break. That way we got to see how it behaved under the weather and the conditions, and it's really high humidity here in South Texas. And I think all in all, it's a really nice buckler. The thing about the buckler that a lot of people don't know is later century, a lot of archers carried bucklers, and the reason why is because the buckler was easy to carry and use something such as a two-handed bow, using your bow, anything like that. You're able to use it, even using pole arms. You could still carry a buckler with a backup sword if you needed to go to it and your pole arm broke. So you'll see a lot of depictions of people carrying a buckler into combat, into war, even though you can't block arrows with it. It's still better than nothing if you get down to your sword to have something in your offhand. So anyway, I think this is an excellent buckler. Medeival Shoppe has done well. Thank you for sending it to me. And please stay tuned. We're going to have lots more episodes out. This has been an episode I've had in the works for a while and haven't got to get it out because I'd gone up to Minnesota. I'd like to thank you all again for sending me up there. And as always, farewell.
If you'd like to help support the channel, you can always sport a Thrand YouTube channel shirt that you can get over at viralstyle.com at the Thrand merchandise store. We have coffee mugs, koozies, a wide variety of shirts and hats. You can also help support us on Patreon, and if you do that, you'll also get exclusive content that can only be seen there.